Good morning, everybody. It is the 13th of January, 2021. This morning we were talking about censorship and false flags. Grabbing the link for the patrons to paste up right now. And publish now. Fabulous. I hope everybody's having a wonderful morning. It is a Wednesday, and it feels like a Wednesday. It's a hump day. I feel like we're about to get humped with the news. Oh my gosh, did he say that out loud? I can't believe it. And, my Roku doesn't think that we're live streaming right now. That's cool. Are we live streaming right now? I think we are. It says live. Come on, Roku. All right, whatever. We're doing it live. Copy that. So let's go back over here into OBS, click on the screen share, and then come over here to our show notes for today. So, interestingly enough, there are now... Quiet yourself, ham radio. Nobody wants to talk to you. Behave. There are now metal detectors in the Capitol building. Wow. I don't know what's going on here. Roku. I gotta let this not bother me. Don't bother me, Roku. Don't bother me. Whatever. Alright. Works for me. There are metal detectors in the U.S. Capitol building. Before we hop into that, though, welcome to all the new folks. I appreciate you. No, this is not the most polished broadcast. The reason for that is I'm not a broadcaster, let alone a polished broadcaster. I am a dude who has been into preparedness for a long time and who is seeing the world as I know it crumble and decay. And I would like to provide as much actionable intelligence as possible to those with eyes to see and ears to hear. And so this is not designed to be necessarily clickbaity. It's not designed to promote any one narrative. This is designed to create an opportunity for me to communicate with y'all my convictions, my opinions, and what I'm seeing and what I'm experiencing in such a way that hopefully provides value and education and edification for you. That is the aim of what we are doing here. Actionable information that will spur you to action or cause you to take better action than you would have had you not had that information. Unfortunately, in today's day and age, that's a little bit unpopular with the big they, the capital T-H-E-Y. So I just wanted to reiterate before we get started, patreon.com is our backup. It's $1 a month or $10 a year. Yes, it's behind a paywall, but you know what? That particular paywall, while it's had its issues in the past with other content creators, we've had precisely zero issues. Goose egg with Patreon. And so that's where all of our content lives. In addition to the live streams that we do 3 days a week here on YouTube and Tactical Tuesday on YouTube, there's all the additional stuff on Patreon. There's another 50 to 100 additional posts and videos and write-ups and Zoom calls and live streams on Patreon. So please check out, just go to Patreon, search for Bear Independent. And no, I don't want to be on my email list either. I know who I am. I got nothing to email me. You can also go to bearindependent.com, click contact over here, and go to, if you have intel to share, please do share it, intel@bearindependent.com, or you can use this this form right here. The best show. Believe it. It's tremendous. Okay, so you can do this at bearindependent.com. Moving right along, Republicans protest and circumvent new metal detectors inside of the Capitol building after riot. Now, the main the person with the biggest issue out of all this here appears to be young Lauren Boebert. Right here. Boebert, a newly elected member who vowed in a viral video to carry a gun in the Capitol, was was seen in an apparent dispute with police over going through the metal detector. Quote, I am legally, and I'm documenting from MSN here, Todd. I'm legally permitted to carry my firearm in Washington, D.C. and within the Capitol complex, she tweeted. Quote, metal detectors outside of the House would not have stopped the violence we saw last week. It's just another political stunt by Speaker Pelosi. Members, however, have been told firearms are restricted to a member's office. Taylor refused to pass through the metal detector and argued with officers about it, said Representative Don Bayer of Virginia. Blah, 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 blah. What I actually kind of like about this, to be completely honest, is, oh, you don't like metal detectors? Oh, you don't like having your ability to carry a firearm restricted because of your location? Welcome to our world. Honestly. Like, how many kids have to walk through metal detectors at school? What do you think happens every time I go into the courthouse in the county seat anywhere in America? Metal detectors and no firearms. Good. I hope this one small inconvenience pisses you off and you have a little tiny taste of what it's like to be an air quote normal American citizen. Oh, look, here's some metal detectors. Does this have any actual efficacy in stopping violence? Zero efficacy in stopping violence. However, it's all about optics. It's all about optics. Here you've got the Crypt Keeper herself right here. Remember, she used to be on TV. She would pop out of that box that they kept her in with the scraggly hairs, and she would tell all those scary stories late at night. Yeah, I remember that. And also with the damn masks. Bah! 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 Gosh dang, people. How we doing over here? 732 concurrent viewers, 170 likes. That sounds about normal for a Wednesday morning. Good morning, everybody. Welcome, Blue Wrenches, all the Blue Wrenches. Corey Beck is here. You guys know what to do. Like, subscribe, share. That helps us greatly. Sharing gets around the YouTube algorithmic nonsense so that if you can share, please share. And I'm experiencing myself this morning that I can't find myself on my own YouTube channel on my Roku TV hanging on the wall over here. So, interesting how when your title includes the word censorship, they go, oh, you mean some of this? Here you go. Here you go. But we are never going to quit spitting truth as we understand it. Moving right along, and please, I beg of you, Bear Nation, if there's one thing you can do for us today, it's share our content. Please share our content, because clearly the big they don't want people to see this. And I don't even know why. I'm just a freaking homesteader in the middle of nowhere who's lamenting the destruction of the nation that he loves, trying to create a life for myself and my wife and my children and the people that I love that is independent from the system. Does that make me a domestic terrorist? Clearly it does. Clearly I'm a threat to somebody somewhere, that I have original thoughts and original feelings, that I'm not walking in lockstep like some type of modern-day American robot, that the scales have fallen from my eyes, and that somehow makes me dangerous. You know, on the one hand, it's bravado, but on the other hand, I love that meme from Rambo First Blood, with John J. Rambo standing there with his rucksack over his shoulder, and it says, just wait until the people who want to be left alone get involved. Leave me alone, man. That's where I am. You don't tell me how to live my life, I won't tell you how to live your life. But if you try and mess with me, then what? I hate it. I hate this whole thing. It's stupid. The censorship is stupid. I'm going to try not to lose my cool. The whole thing is stupid. And even then, Jay Morris, bless you. Thank you. even then, we have to remember to be logical, not emotional. That's one of the things we're going to talk about in segment 2, the Inauguration Day. That's one of the things we're going to talk about, because emotional doesn't help us. In fact, here, hold on. We're going to go to the Word real quick. It's going to be one of those days. If you're not one of those go to the Word real quick people, you're probably not going to be a fan of today's show, but that's okay. I will be. And that's cool because it's my show. Where are you, James? Timothy, Philemon, Hebrews, James. James 1. Yaakov, a servant of Elohim and of the Master Yeshua Messiah, to the 12 tribes who are in dispersion, greetings. My brothers, count it all joy when you fall into various trials, knowing that the proving of your belief works endurance. And let endurance have a perfect work, so that you be perfect and complete, lacking in naught. If any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask of Elohim every day, Brother James, who gives to all generously and without reproach, and it shall be given to him. But he should ask in belief, not doubting, for he who doubts is like a wave of the sea, driven and tossed by the wind. For that man should not think that he shall receive whatever from the master. He is a double-minded man, unstable in all his ways. And then James 1:19, which is why we're here. So then, my beloved brothers, let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak, and slow to wrath. For the wrath of man does not work the righteousness of Elohim. Therefore, put away all filthiness and overflow of evil, and receive with meekness the implanted word, which is able to save your lives. Meekness, by the way, earmuffs, kids, doesn't mean being a P word. I'm not going to say it. I wanted to say it, but I didn't. It doesn't mean being a wussy. The Hebrew definition, because remember, we're dealing with Hebrew and Greek here that's translated into English 100,000 times over. The definition of meekness is not that you're a wussy. It's that I could utterly destroy you, but I stay my hand, because the only thing more powerful than my ability to destroy you is my self-control. The Hebrew explanation of this is, he that has a sword and whose hand is upon his sword but keeps it sheathed. That is meekness. It doesn't mean being a sopping wet P word. You have a sword. You know how to use the sword, and your hand is upon the sword, but you haven't whipped it out and started lopping people's heads off with it yet. That is meekness. Therefore, put away all filthiness and overflow of evil, and receive with meekness the implanted word, which is able to save your lives, and become doers of the word, and not hearers only, deceiving yourselves. Because if anyone is a hearer of the word and not a doer, he is like a man who looks at his natural face in the mirror, for he looks at himself and goes away and immediately forgets what he is like. But he that looked into the perfect Torah, that of freedom, and continues in it, not becoming a hearer that forgets, but a doer of work, this one shall be blessed in his doing of the Torah. If anyone among you thinks that he is religious and does not bridle his tongue, but deceives his own heart, this one's religion is worthless. Clean and undefiled religion before Elohim and Father is this, to visit orphans and widows in their affliction, and to keep oneself unstained from the world. Bless you, Father Yah. Thank you for your word. Let's see if maybe we can do this report now. Maybe I can do this report now. Keep my wrath at a 0.5 rather than a 10. Segment 1. Big tech censorship continues to escalate. From the Dance Monkeys, intel at baronindependent.com. Look at this reptilian overlord right here. Look at this fella. You don't even have to draw the little antennae coming off of him. Like, you can just imagine that they're there. A slight green tinge to the skin. So, a little line with the circle here and a little line with the circle here. We're good to go. We're good to go. The crackdown continues to rage. Trump's voice on social media has been silenced, and now Stripe has reportedly cut ties with the Trump campaign by shutting down the campaign's payment processing services. Bill de Blasio has said that New York City will review the possibility of canceling its contracts with the Trump organization. Deutsche Bank has decided to cut ties with Trump and his private companies, and New York Signature Bank will close 2 of his personal accounts, reportedly holding approximately $5.3 million. Trump is only a public example of a much larger movement against dissenting voices. Attendees of the protest at the Capitol on 6 January are not just being vilified. Many are being identified, investigated, and fired from their jobs. Big Tech is censoring at a rate unseen until now. Twitter has suspended more than 70,000 accounts since Friday alone. Remember over here, see this, insurgency, counterinsurgency lines of effort. Commanders at all levels should select lines of effort that relate best to achieving the desired end state. Which, again, my dear brothers and sisters in the Patriot movement, what is your desired end state? What is the mission? What are the objectives? How are those objectives supported by your lines of effort? And what are the logistics and personnel you are going to in place? And how are you going to provision and pay for those lines of effort to accomplish the objectives that accomplish the mission, which is based upon your desired end state? Commanders at all levels should select the lines of effort that relate best to achieving the desired end state. The following list of possible lines of effort, or LOEs, is not all-inclusive. However, it gives commanders a place to start. Establish civil security. Or, if you're on the opposite side of this, disestablish civil security, or establish civil chaos. Establish civil control, or disestablish civil control. What is the art of civics? The art of civics is us, we the people, involved in the governing of ourselves, our communities, and our country. Do I even have to paint that picture for us anymore? Support host nation security forces. No, that's not happening. Support to governance. Donald J. Trump has had how much support in his governance of the United States in the last 4 years? Anybody? I'll wait. Goose egg. Restore essential services. You mean like rolling coordinated blackouts? Sure. Support to economic and infrastructure development. COVID-19, global pandemic, national lockdowns. Support to economic and infrastructure development? What? No, how about the precise antithesis of that? And conduct information engagement. Or the opposite of that. Disinformation engagement or information disengagement. You're not allowed to think. You're not allowed to speak. You're not allowed to spread that idea. Ideas are violent and wrong. Somebody could get hurt if they thought like that. Monica is so pissed at me right now. She always wants me to play nice with YouTube. And I'm trying, Todd. I'm reading from Field Manual 3-24.2 PDF. I'm just reading from this field manual and comparing this against known things out there in the ether today, Todd. So thank you so much for the pee-pee schwacking, Todd. Please, sir, may I have another? There's going to come a time where you won't see my face on this platform anymore. That's on the one hand. When I started this channel, I was told by my creator, it's for a time. I don't know how long that time is. We know from Ecclesiastes, for everything there is a season. Well, this is a season of my life where I do this and I engage with y'all regularly, and we share thoughts and ideas regularly, and we try and lift each other up and pray for each other and read our word together and provide actionable intel and illustrate that it is possible for you to come out of the bondage of slavery, get debt free, and move out into the country and do things that matter with people that you love. That's what we do here. I don't know how much longer I'll be able to do it. I don't know how much longer I'm going to want to do it, being completely frank. It is not an easy thing to step into my office every day and feel like you're going into battle every day. We don't talk about it much because I don't want your sympathy. If you're looking for sympathy, you can find it between shit and syphilis in the dictionary. But it's difficult for myself and all the other content creators out there who are at odds with the big they to do this every day. So if there's somebody who has spoken some truth to you, if there's somebody who's helped you out or has pointed you in the right direction for hope, i.e. the creator of the universe, or somebody that is meaningful to you and you value what they do here on this platform, you should reach out to them and let them know, hey, thank you. Because I'm telling you, this is not an easy thing to do. It's not turning big rocks into little rocks with a sledgehammer 12 hours a day, but there's days I'd rather do that than spend an hour on YouTube. And I'm pretty good with a sledgehammer, so if that gives you any idea. All these things are happening. These lines of effort are happening. This information disengagement, 70,000 people alone since Friday. 1,376. Bless y'all. 578 likes. Bless y'all. Thank you. Some are fighting back. Not only is Parler suing Amazon, but even a North Idaho internet provider has now blocked Facebook and Twitter, citing concerns about censorship after receiving call-in complaints about the sites. Because the provider services North Idaho and the Spokane area, there is concern that the provider's actions could violate Washington state's net neutrality law. An email from the provider said this would begin Wednesday, stating, quote, "Our company does not believe a website or social network has the authority to censor what you see and post and hide information from you, stop you from seeing what your friends and family are posting. This is why, with the amount of concerns, we have made this decision to block these two websites from being accessed from our network." And so you've got over here at Breitbart, we've got one of the reptilian overlords himself, the Alien King, by Alana Mastrangelo, 11 Jan 2021. An internet service provider in North Idaho and Spokane, Washington area has decided to block Facebook and Twitter for its customers after some called in to complain about censorship on the platforms. And I'm sure we're all aware of this right now. News moves fast, and I know a lot of people are out there just hoovering up as much information as they can. Remember, the difference between information and intelligence is that intelligence is independently verifiable and actionable. Information is just stuff that's sitting on the shelves of your brain occupying space until you can make it actionable, until you can do something with it, and you can corroborate that, you can independently verify that. It's not just part of the narrative that's being fed to you by anybody, myself included, until such a time as you can make it actionable. It's just information. It's not intelligence. From Breitbart as well, this is interesting. So we know what they're doing now. Back in 2019, Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey, big tech platforms definitely collaborate on censorship methods. How interesting. And then Dorsey then added that he reached out to a bunch of people to consult over the suspension of InfoWars' Alex Jones, including conservative commentator Ali Alexander, who advised Dorsey against suspending Jones. Dorsey also denied claims that big tech companies work together to censor users, despite noting that they definitely collaborate with companies on methods. No, that's really nice. Thank you so much. Further, Dorsey denied intentional censorship of conservatives on Twitter. Right here. And I know there's a lot of people who are posting some tweets of his that have definitely aged poorly. Good. Keep doing it. I think it would be easy to believe a perspective if you only look at particular things, said Dorsey. And you look at actions based on who you follow and whatnot, claimed Dorsey after being asked why conservatives believe they're being censored. Right here. Twitter has suspended more than 70,000 accounts since Friday alone. Dorsey denied intentional censorship of conservatives on Twitter. Welcome to the gulag, y'all. Listen, 31st of January 2021, what's that? 18 days from now. 2.5 weeks. We will be in Irving, Texas, Las Colinas area, Dallas-Fort Worth. We're doing two Stop the Bleed classes, a morning class and an afternoon class. Morning class is mostly full. Afternoon class still has some slots left. So if you go to refugemedical.com, you can click Stop the Bleed Level 1 in-person training. Yes, it's $350. Why? Because we give you an IFAC to use with the class that you keep at the end of the class. It's a trainer kit in addition to all the classroom that you're going to get. You're going to get the trainer kit as well so that you don't have to destroy your own individual first aid kit, therefore rendering it useless, therefore having to buy another $100, $150, $200 worth of stuff to put your personal IFAC back together again. I absolutely despise that about all the other training classes that are out there when it comes to this kind of stuff. So the cost of our class includes a $115 North American Rescue TCCC trainer kit. Additionally, our class is derived from our 8-hour TCCC Tactical Combat Casualty Care curriculum. There is no metric for Stop the Bleed. Most Stop the Bleeds, the instructor walks in and hands you a tourniquet. And they go, okay, class, so this is a tourniquet. Go ahead and put it on. Don't die. I'll be back in 1 hour. You'll get your certificates. Not us. 4-hour class, we go deep into the medicine, deep into the March algorithm, massive bleeding airway, respiratory circulation, head injuries, and hypothermia, and then everything else. We go deep into that. We explain the effects of shock and blood loss and what is a preventable bleed, how to triage in the field, the rules of tactical combat casualty care, lots of hands-on practical instruction, including applying tourniquets to yourself and to other people over and over and over again, wound packing, the application of chest seals, so forth and so on, what to do in a tension pneumothorax or hemothorax, on and on and on and on and on. So it's a 4-hour class. It's a phenomenal 4-hour class. If it wasn't, I wouldn't have my name attached to it. And yes, I will be there. Class times are 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. or 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. on the 31st in Irving, Texas. So you can go to refugemedical.com, check that out. Like I said, there's a few morning classes left, and there's more afternoon slots left than morning slots left. So check it out, refugemedical.com. And shout out to everybody who's out there supporting your Refuge Medical patches. We appreciate y'all. Thank you for helping us grow this company. Thank you for partnering with us as a American small business that has American-made products, that employs Americans, that is based here in America, that wants nothing more than to be left the hell alone to do our jobs and love our families and feed our sheep and just prosper and grow and enjoy the blessings of our Creator. I'm actually really effing annoyed that the world decided to end, because we have a good life. We are blessed. We are well provisioned. We are surrounded by people that we love. We are doing hard things now and reaping the benefits of that. And I'm not concerned about me. I don't care about me. But I really want my kids to inherit a life worth living. I just really, really, really want my children to inherit a life worth living. And I don't mean a silver spoon. I mean, I got up this morning, and when I got up this morning, my son was already outside in 18 degrees feeding the cows in the sheet, tossing hay bales, filling grain buckets, knocking the ice out of the water buckets. That's a life worth living. That's not a silver spoon. That's building his muscles. That's creating fortitude within him. That's allowing him to engage in responsibility. It's building character, as our dads would have said back in the day. I just want to be left the hell alone to do that. To run our homestead, to run our small businesses, to run our ministry, to be us. And I don't understand why that's so dangerous. I understand why they think it's so dangerous, but I don't get it. I don't want to control anything, let alone the whole world. I don't want to control you. I don't want to control my friends and my family. I don't want control of anything. I want people to be left alone, to be autonomous, to do whatever they see fit to do. Now, I have a code of morals and ethics that addresses when people get out of line. I call it the user manual for people. Some of y'all have probably heard of it. It's called the Bible, I think is what they call it out there in the world. You know, and I'm really concerned about, I'm not fearful, but I'm really concerned. You look at this stuff like what's going on with how the media and the government is spinning the Inauguration Day riot and labeling all Trump supporters as domestic terrorists. You call somebody that long enough, it's just a matter of time before they start wearing that as a badge of honor and acting like it. And even then, we have to remember, that's all part of the narrative. That's all part of the narrative. We don't know anything unless we're told it. Remember that. It's all part of the narrative. We see what they want us to see. We hear what they want us to hear. And the next time somebody can definitively prove to the contrary, I'm all ears. I'm all ears. FBI warns of Inauguration Day unrest in all 50 states. The FBI has warned that armed protests are planned in all 50 states from the 16th through the 20th. Unsurprisingly, D.C. is expected to be a hotspot on Inauguration Day. It has been reported that 15,000 National Guard troops have been activated to support security and logistics, with access to lethal weapons at their commander's discretion. This is confirmed by me. At their commander's discretion. Confirmed by me. Don't ask how I know. The mayor of D.C. requested an emergency declaration to fund security measures ahead of the predicted social chaos to come on Inauguration Day. Trump granted the emergency declaration, providing FEMA and the DHS with resources to protect Washington. Interestingly, Chad Wolf has recently stepped down as acting secretary of the DHS. Who is stepping into his shoes? FEMA Administrator Pete Gaynor. In the media, there's a blatant, continuing push towards alarmist attitudes towards events at the Capitol, especially when juxtaposed next to the reporting of the BLM and Antifa riots, Chaz Chop, and similar events that took place month after month last year. CNN published an article intensifying the events of 6 Jan in retrospect. It read, quote, "It was even more violent. It was even more treacherous. And Trump's behavior was even more disturbing. Only later did it become clear that lawmakers feared for their lives. Yeah, you hid behind benches like cowards, you freaking P-words. And now you're concerned about the metal detector? Welcome to the real world. Only later did it become clear that lawmakers feared for their lives, that some of the attackers were hunting for congressional leaders, that there could have been a massacre, end quote. The Washington Post produced a video called What It's Like to Report from the Capitol Under Siege. Democratic Representative Ted Lieu tweeted, "We have already learned and will continue to learn that what happened on 6 January, Insurrection Day, is even worse than we knew. Congress's response cannot simply be giving speeches with gravitas. Unless Trump resigns or is removed through the 25th Amendment, we must impeach." I believe, my opinion, they want to impeach him because he is still the chief executive and commander of the armed forces until the 21st. Until that changes, he's the guy. And now you can go way deep into that. Trust the plan, man. Q says, deeds, not words. Facta non verba. Show me. Show me. I've said before and I'll say it again. I've said this 100 times on camera. Q may have started as something legitimate, but if I was an intelligence operative, precisely what I would do is I would feed Q truth over and over and over again until they become established as having some notoriety, legitimacy. They got the inside track, man. And then I would slowly co-opt them until it was time to launch an operation such as this. And then, now that they're co-opted, I would feed them bad intel. And I would wag the dog all over the place with the 17th letter. And that's precisely what you're seeing. Because people aren't thinking past the tip of their nose. They're not looking at the long game. The long, long game. China's got a 4,000-year plan. And we're like, yeah, but what happens in 14 days, 13 days, 8 days? Don't trust the plan. Trust your Father in heaven and pray that His will be done and that you will be strong enough to accept it. And learn to hear His voice. Because if He tells you to jump, the response should be, "How high, sir?" Not, "Is that the voice of God? I really don't know. I don't know what He sounds like," because you don't talk to Him. And if you don't talk to Him, He doesn't talk back. And he who can be trusted with little can be trusted with much. So not only should you be acting in the micro, way before you ever plan to act in the macro, if you can't get off of your ass and get busy where you are, what in the world makes you think you're going to get busy on a national scale? And I mean this with all the love in my heart that I can muster. But people will die. Good people will die. And that's not something that should be taken lightly or that should be bandied about. High on hopium, trusting in the plan. I am so over that garbage that it hurts. Show me or quit talking about it. My opinion is that the Inauguration Day unrest in all 50 states is going to be a coordinated false flag operation. Do I even still have a live stream anymore? I do have a live stream. 1,643 people are here. Bless y'all. Thank you for the super chats. Jay Morris, bless you. Ellen Fisher, bless you. Thank you. So yeah, super chats, by the way, are the only way that any support to this channel is coming through on Big Daddy Alphabet's platform anymore. So I appreciate y'all very much in the super chat. Unrest in all 50 states is highly coordinated. To coordinate, you have to have communications. Let's think about this logically. We already know that communications between Trump sympathizers, QAnon supporters, and patriots is being shut down rapidly. So how's this going to be coordinated? Answer, it's not them that's doing it. Or it's not only them that's doing it. I've been saying for years, you will be co-opted. There are embeds amongst you. Be careful who you trust. Copy. Just as was seen in the Capitol building. Yes, there were people there who were supporters of Donald J. Trump, and there were many people there that weren't. And a lot of the violence, not all of the violence, but a lot of the violence that was perpetrated on the 6th of January was by people who were operating under false colors, a false flag. Inauguration Day unrest in all 50 states will be, my opinion, a coordinated false flag operation. It will use members of the Protect the Results Coalition right here. Stand Up America, March for Truth, the Bay Resistance, Black Lives Matter. They've got tons. Democracy Action, Extinction Rebellion, Indiana Nasty Women. What? NARAL. Okay, lovely. The New York Progressive Action Network, Organized Florida, and it just keeps going. And just the Sierra Club, Stand Up Republic, Suit Up Maine, Take on Wall Street, the Jewish Vote. Really? On and on and on and on and on. This Protect the Results Coalition stated in the end of 2020 that they had over 2,000 partner groups and that they were on standby should they be needed. As I've said, you don't build an army and then not use it. They built an army. They're fixing to use it. I think my opinion, my gut feel, is that they're going to use it in a coordinated false flag operation on Inauguration Day across all 50 states. Remember that this intel is coming from the FBI. Remember this guy here? This guy right here? From investors.com. Is the FBI now an arm of the Democratic Party? And let me point out that the date line is 2016. There's James Comey there. We all know about the rumors and accusations surrounding James Comey. Justice, the FBI was once known as incorruptible, a legendary enforcer of American law that fought traitors, spies, organized crime, and government corruption with equal fervor and fearlessness. It is entirely possible to co-opt things that are good and make them the opposite of good, aka bad. Recent revelations about the FBI's moves during its investigation of Hillary Clinton's rogue email server suggest that the FBI no longer exists. Of particular relevance are the so-called side agreements signed by the FBI with high-level Clinton aides Cheryl Mills and Heather Samuelson as part of the investigation. It's important to note that both of these aides were in the thick of things in Hillary land and surely knew much about Clinton's likely illegal use of private servers and her exposure of the U.S. secrets. And it goes on and on and on from there. But the point is, for the last 4 years at a minimum, it has been theorized that the FBI is an arm of the Democratic Party because of how they act. Deeds, not words. Show me, and you shall know them by their fruit, says Jesus. Well, the FBI's fruit sucks. Well, remember, it's the FBI that's wagging the dog, warning of Inauguration Day unrest. So don't just consider the information, consider the source. Now, why do you need 50 states on fire at the same time. Well, the first is to paint MAGA as domestic terrorists. That fits the narrative. Remember that. They're already talking about, we opened this broadcast talking about how during this online Twitter, Facebook, big tech censorship crackdown, they're labeling people as domestic terrorists. And if you call them that long enough, they will act like it. And that's all part of the plan, the big plan. Which big plan? The Great Reset, which we're going to get to in a minute. And I'm not grasping at straws here. It's actually pretty easy math once you figure out what they're doing. You paint the MAGAs as terrorists in this false flag operation, which the pilot program took place at the Capitol building. And if they can do it there, they can do it anywhere. That's right. That was the pilot program. Now they're going to do it again in all 50 states, at all 50 capitals. So you paint MAGA as terrorists, which allows them to justify the actions they're already taking against MAGA. Oh, you think the gulag sounds bad? Wait till they put you in it. They will crush Trump and his legacy, and or force him to act. This is a common tactic, incredibly common tactic in an insurgency. What you want to do is, as an insurgent, is you want to poke the host nation security forces, causing them to overreact. And when they overreact, it creates such an atrocity that it turns the sympathies of the public, hearts and minds, baby, hearts and minds. It turns the sympathies of the public to the insurgents, away from the host nation and the insurgents. And so in this application, what they're looking to do is completely undermine any authority and legitimacy that Trump has and build sympathy for their own cause by showing how out of line these MAGA people are, these patriots, these Trumpers. That's right. That's a real thing. The war is always for hearts and minds. Why? Because hearts and minds is what will allow the permission for the resources to flow. And war at its most basic is the allocation of certain resources against the acquisition of or protection of other resources. That's what it is. It's basic math. And it sucks because there's real people that are injured and killed because of that basic math. And not a few of them. Hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands, millions of people killed because of that basic math. But in order to engage in that, you have to have the hearts and minds of the people. Common insurgency tactic. Hit the host nation and they hit back super hard. And when they hit back so hard that it turns the people's stomachs, the people now sympathize with the insurgents. In this case, we're talking about the Democratic Party and you can't even say that anymore. The Protect the Results Coalition. Do I have a live stream still? I do still have a live stream. 1,800 people on. Bless y'all. Super chat. Thank you so much. Johnny Freedom Seed. Francesca Simpson. Bless you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Iron Legion. Bless you. Peanut butter. Beverages are delicious. Agreed. So, moving right along. Why a coordinated national false flag operation on Inauguration Day? To paint the MAGA as terrorists, to crush Trump's legacy and or create an asymmetric reaction to their provocation that wins hearts and minds, which ultimately allows them to institute more tyranny under Biden and Harris. Why do they need even more tyranny under Biden and Harris? Right here from weforum.org, just documenting Todd, the Great Reset. There is an urgent need for global stakeholders to cooperate in simultaneously managing the direct consequences of the COVID-19 crisis. To improve the state of the World Economic Forum is starting the Great Reset Initiative. Global stakeholders. I hate that phrase, but the United States would be categorized as one of them. perhaps one of the most important of them, to cooperate in simultaneously managing the direct consequences of the COVID-19 crisis. That's not happening currently. We're not on board with the Great Reset, and so you got to get the speed bumps out of the way. You got to knock the hurdles down so we can get on with the program. The program is the Great Reset. I believe Operation Warp Speed by President Donald J. Trump was a facet of unconventional warfare to remove the immediacy of tyranny that could have happened because of COVID-19, knowing that the Great Reset is the call to action, the cover for action. COVID-19 is the cover for action for the Great Reset. Well, if COVID-19 is the cover for action, and remember when this first started, that the mighty scientists at the World Health Organization were saying it could take 7 to 10 years until we get a vaccination. Imagine 7 to 10 years in lockdown. It's really easy to reset something when everybody's starving and begging for food and begging for commerce and being allowed to work. If you think 2020 was bad, imagine if 2020 lasted until 2030, 10 years of that. That plows the fields of the heart to allow the Great Reset. I think on some level, and we have to acknowledge that a man who has been consistently praised as playing four-dimensional chess, we have to acknowledge that that person will be operating on more than one level. I operate on more than one level, and I'm not the president of the United States. I'm not the president of anything. I'm a nobody. And I operate on more than one level. So, yes, of course, a vaccine is good for him. It's great optics in the whole nine. But I also think it was a facet of unconventional warfare to remove their cover for action. If you get rid of the crisis part of COVID-19, it removes the cover for action for the Great Reset. It's a lot harder to make that argument that we got to do this now when the vaccine doesn't work, or when we already have a vaccine and it does work. You take the argument away when you provide a vaccine. Boom. Next. What do you got? Let's get back to business. Well, back to business is not the Great Reset. So if you look at it strategically on a macro level, I think there's definitely a facet of that. But this coordinated false flag operation on Inauguration Day, why? This is my opinion. Why are they going to do that? Because it fits the narrative. Trump and MAGA are domestic terrorists, and they will have their proof, so that they can crush Trump and so that they can provoke an overreaction that justifies even further tyranny. They want that tyranny because of the Great Reset. And they want the Great Reset because it's finally China's turn to become the preeminent world superpower. And that's a big part of what the Great Reset does. We can go over here. Now is the time for a Great Reset. Klaus Schwab, so forth and so on. Where is that little? Here it is, right here. The level of cooperation and ambition is unprecedented, it said earlier. But you need to break people before and institute global shareholder capitalism. Stakeholder, is that what they call it? Stakeholder capitalism. That's what they do in China. It's socialism, global socialism. Revitalizing global cooperation cannot be accomplished when we won't cooperate. They got to get the we that won't cooperate out of the way. Global governance is one of the lines of effort here. And again, they understand their lines of effort. You're going to combat this with a hope and a prayer? Negative, good buddy. Ain't happening. What are your lines of effort? Show me. I don't even care if it's written down on a piece of printer paper. I don't care. What is it? Revitalizing global cooperation, global governance, supply chain and transport, international trade and investment, the future of economic progress, global health, global risks, geopolitics, agile governance, workforce and employment, which you know will be tied to global health, and international security, geoeconomics, and leadership. Understand up here that this is labeled strategic intelligence because it is strategic, it's macro, it's big picture, and it is intelligence because all of this is actionable. It's not just data points. They figured out how to put this in place, and they're doing it. But in order to put this in place and to do it, and I'm not trying to say that Trump is the only thing that stands in between us and the gap, but I am saying he's a big hurdle, and they got to knock that big hurdle down. So, to reiterate, I firmly believe that the FBI warning of an Inauguration Day unrest in all 50 states, that the FBI is co-opted, they're wagging the dog, and that this unrest is going to be a false flag operation by the Protect the Results Coalition and their minions under the banner of MAGA to make MAGA look bad so that the sympathies turn towards this, the Great Reset, which is already underway. It's already happening. We're years deep into World War III already. It's just being fought differently than every previous war has because we always want to fight the last war, not this one. This is the war. Here we are. Will it go hot? It might. But imagine if you could take over the whole world without a shot fired. They're working on it. What are you going to eat? How many times are you going to let them jab that untested vaccine in your arm so that you can have permission to stand in the bread line and hope that calories will flow into your home so that your daughter doesn't starve to death? That's so dystopian, Barry. It'll never happen. Read your history while you still can. While you still can. Communism in the last 100 years has killed 100 million people through democide. That is the government murder of non-armed combatants. Additionally, 40 to 70 million people have been starved to death by their government in the last 100 years that we know of. And we're talking about isolated incidents in individual countries, not on a global scale. Yeah. Do I still have a live stream? I do. 1,933 people. Bless y'all. Johnny Freedom Seed. Bless y'all. Thank you. Listen, while you still have some fiat currency, listen like I'm going to tell you what to do. I am. While you still have some fiat currency, please go to adventurefrontier.com and check them out. They're a small business with good products and great customer service, and they're our brothers, and we love them. And so if you need some armor, plate carriers, Spartan armor, they got all that stuff here at adventurefrontier.com. If you need the best first aid kit on the face of the earth, you can get that here at adventurefrontier.com as well. This is the Bare Independent Bare Fac. I've heard that name somewhere before. And the Bare Independent Bare Minimum. That doesn't really ring a bell, but yes, I've heard of it. I've heard of it. So these first aid kits, which you can get at adventurefrontier.com, which you can get at refugemedical.com, which you can get at bareindependent.com. It's got several other partners that'll be spinning up to be retailing these kits as well, which is very exciting. So thanks to everybody who's helped us get to this point. For real, we appreciate you. You can get all this stuff at adventurefrontier.com, including your Fluffy Bunny stickers and patches. And if you don't know about Fluffy Bun Buns, you don't have the need to know about Fluffy Bun Buns. So there you go. These are kept in a sensitive compartmentalized information facility, and it requires 2 keys to access the file cabinet where these are at because they're that highly classified. So moving right along, let's talk briefly, and I mean briefly, let's do everything we can to get this stream pulled. By the way, please share. Please share. Bill Gates and vaccine efficacy, segment 3. So over here, just simply documenting Todd from fortrust.com, we've got the headline, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. exposes Bill Gates' vaccine dictatorship plan, cites Gates' twisted messiah complex. Okay, and we have to be just completely clear here that there's some skewed reporting here on the other side. Copy. Chew the meat, spit out the bones. I know a guy who says that. From Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s Instagram post, April 9th, 2020. Vaccines for Bill Gates are a strategic philanthropy that feed his many vaccine-related businesses, including Microsoft's ambition to control a global vac ID enterprise and give him dictatorial control over global health policy, the spear tip of corporate neo-imperialism. Gates' obsession with vaccines seems fueled by a messianic conviction that he is ordained to save the world with technology and a godlike willingness to experiment with the lives of lesser humans. Now, again, just because somebody says something that feels like it resonates with you and you like that, always consider the source. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., we've got a lot of faith in the Kennedy family. Right. Just making sure we're on the same page here. Got it. They are their own crime syndicate. You're aware of this, right? Okay. No, he's a good one. Promising to eradicate polio with $1.2 billion, Gates took control of India's National Advisory Board and mandated 50 polio vaccines, up from 5, to every child before age 5. Indian doctors blame the Gates campaign for devastating vaccine-strained polio epidemic that paralyzed 496,000 children between 2000 and 2017. In 2017, the Indian government dialed back Gates' vaccine regimen and evicted Gates and his cronies from the NAB. What they did was they changed the way that it was being funded from being privately funded to being publicly funded through donations from the same private organization. It's ITSU, ITSU. I don't remember what it stands for, but it's Gates's vaccine medical conglomerate philanthropic arm thing. And what they did was, rather than having ITSU directly administer the funds and therefore the vaccines, ITSU would donate the funds to India so that there would be some semblance of transparency and responsibility on the government side, rather than having a private organization shooting up a bunch of Indian kids with an unknown chemical. They would just simply provide the unknown chemical and the funding for the Indian government to shoot up a bunch of kids with said unknown chemical. Optics. It was optics. In 2014, the Gates Foundation funded tests of experimental HPV vaccines developed by GSK and Merck on 23,000 young girls in remote Indian provinces. Approximately 1,200 suffered severe side effects, including autoimmune and fertility disorders. 7 died. Interestingly enough, it wasn't just on young women. We'll go over here from the Daily Mail. Judge demands answers after children... Get these freaking pop-ups out of here, man. After children die in controversial cancer vaccine trial in India. Tribal girls were given shots of cervical cancer vaccines during trial. Children given Merck's Gardasil and Cervarix vaccines. Petitioners also asked judges to investigate trials of a new drug, Gardasil 9. Drug has allegedly caused side effects in children as young as 9. Investigation claims children were used as unwitting human guinea pigs, and Supreme Court has given the government 1 month to provide answers. And so, this is a boy. Side effects. Amanda Juan, 16, from Indore, lost weight and strength after being enrolled in the Gardasil 9 trial, which he, as a boy, didn't know he had signed up for either. So, and this is a human? Mazar, I think that's a dude. I don't know, skinny jeans, hard to tell. This guy's got a double-barrel shotgun. You can tell he's an Indian domestic terrorist. My point here is having transparency in the vaccine world is not a common thing. We know right here from their own paperwork, fact sheet for recipients and caregivers, emergency use authorization of the Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine to prevent coronavirus disease. Right here at the bottom, it says, the Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine is an unapproved vaccine that may prevent COVID-19. There is no FDA-approved vaccine to prevent COVID-19. There is no FDA-approved vaccine to prevent COVID-19. It's all in the wording. So the fact check on this 496,000 children in India, it turns out, and there's a lot of blah, blah. And by the way, who controls the facts has a lot to do with how your fact check turns out. The claim is that Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation has tested polio vaccine in India between 2000 and 2017 and has paralyzed 496,000 children. The fact check is not that this is false, it's that it's misleading. Shabba-dabba-da, babba-dabba-da. And here we've got Gates and Fauci. Bill Gates declared large public gatherings may not return at all until we have a vaccine that we've gotten out to the entire world. Oh, what did I do? Didn't mean to click on that. So the claim was debunked by PolitiFact because of an email from the Gates Foundation. So the Gates Foundation said, no, that's not what happened. They said over the past 10 years. So it's like I steal your pony and then the cops show up and they're like, hey, did you steal that pony? And I'm like, no, I didn't steal this pony. And they're like, see, that claim was misleading. He didn't steal your pony. Case dismissed. Over the last 10 years, more than 10 billion doses of oral poliovirus, OPV vaccines have been administered to over 2.5 billion children worldwide, preventing more than 10 million polio cases during that period. However, the World Health Organization does mention that it is possible to contract polio from vaccines, but it's extremely rare. Actually, that's not the case. We're going to see that just momentarily. According to the agency, 1 in 2.7 million oral doses result in vaccine-associated paralytic polio. Well, there's an issue with that. 1 in 2.7, but it's been distributed to 2.5 billion. So from million to billion, that's a factor of 1,000. So that means at a minimum, there's 1,000 people that have vaccine-associated paralytic polio. That's not nothing. Right there. Although there have been reports of contaminated vaccine even after the eradication of polio in India. The eradication of... And don't get me wrong, polio is one of those things that was devastating people for a long time. And very rarely does anybody get it anymore. However, where did it go? Let's see if I can find it. Is it down here? Dude with the shotgun dude. So they're finding that there is an increase in the incidence of polio throughout the world. That polio's on the rise again. But what they're finding is in 3/4 of the new cases of polio, that polio can be traced back to the Gates vaccine. It's the polio that's in the Gates vaccine. So 3 out of 4 new polio cases are tied to the Gates vaccine. That's cool. That's super cool. Good job. Good job. Do I still have a live stream? I do. Somehow I do. 1,899 people here. And look at that chat flying by. Carmen, bless you. Thank you. So, with that, we're going to talk briefly about Grindstone Ministries. GrindstoneMinistries.com is our charitable organization. It is a not-for-profit. We are engaged in the rescue and rehabilitation of victims of human trafficking and sex crimes. I don't want to jump into that rabbit hole right now because I'm going to get spun up. But suffice it to say, we are privately funded by y'all, and nobody gets paid. There's only a handful of people on the board. Nobody draws a salary. We only fund first order effects, meaning we only fund effects on target. And we are in the process of building Caleb House. Caleb House is a facility to rehabilitate survivors of trafficking and to teach them life skills so that they can be reintegrated into society, so that we can break generational curses, and so that we can provide a biblical covering to orphans, and so that we can restore people And that's what we're doing. And we need help. And so you can help us do that by visiting grindstoneministries.com. Please and thank you. And telling as many people as you can about grindstoneministries.com. Disaster Coffee supports Grindstone Ministries. And you're probably a human being that probably drinks coffee, which means you're probably going to like Disaster Coffee. So you should try some Disaster Coffee. And a portion of their proceeds goes to Grindstone Ministries. And you can see here their bunker beans are awesome for preppers. You just throw that in a Mylar with some oxygen absorbers, 5 pounds of green beans that you can roast right before you use them and grind them for $35. That's a hell of a deal. So disastercoffee.com. Amendment 1 Preparedness is also a supporter of Grindstone Ministries, and they make the canned ham radios. So you can see, here's the reduced fat canned ham. This has a, this is $179, and it's got a, what's that, a 25 watt radio in there, in a 30 caliber ammo can, 3 watt external speaker, 12 volt cigarette socket. It can be hooked up to your, it's the dual band radio, ham radio. It can be hooked up to, whatever antenna you want. It all fits inside the can. We have several of these. They're super cool. Comes with, your cables and everything right here. There's what it looks like inside. Got a speaker, the whole 9, good to go. And boom, it all folds up nice and tight inside of the can. So that's the reduced fat canned ham light right there. And then they've got several other products as well. The family size buffet ham being amateur radio. Look at this monster right here. Look at this thing. Battery backups. And look, Psalms 22:11. Look at that. That's awesome. So, super awesome. 50 watts power in both VHF and UHF. 30 amp hours of onboard battery. Speaker, headset jack. Authentic N9 TAX antenna. Good to go. So this is Amendment 1 Preparedness. They support Grindstone Ministries, and they're another American small business. I would recommend you check them out for all your prepper commo needs. And then lastly, Sanctified Supply Co. They make awesome swag and apparel that is honorific of the Most High. This right here, the Grindstone Benefit Hoodie and Grindstone Benefit Tee, that's specifically for Grindstone. This is the t-shirt right here. As iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another. Proverbs 27:17. And that's Grindstone. Grindstone, iron sharpens iron. A grindstone weaponizes it for a purpose. That's what Grindstone does. So you got the t-shirt, and then you've got this hoodie right here as well. Very soft, very soft. And you can get those at sanctifiedsupplyco.com, and a portion of those proceeds go to Grindstone Ministries so we can continue to do what we do. Now, let's go read our silver linings for the day and then put a bow on this stream in an hour and 13 minutes. Bless y'all. Silver linings. I spent most of November and December in the hospital alone. The Bear Nation has been a huge help to me as I find my way and my life seems to be falling apart. Thank you for all that you do. Bless you, brother. After going back and watching your gardening playlist and prepper classroom playlist, both me and my boyfriend decided to go to local stores and find seeds. We live on an acre of land in New Jersey and are planning on making our own little garden. My boyfriend did it last year, just playing around to see what we could grow. We were amazed on how many fruits and vegetables actually took. We had an overabundance of watermelons, so we ended up giving some to our families. This year we plan on expanding our garden and picked up a different variety of seeds. We are also stacking the food to the rafters. I recently informed my mom about your channel, and she is also amazed by all the information, and she is now planning on doing the things as well. Thank you for all your information you share with us. Bless you. Thank you. Thank you for supporting us and our family and what we do here, and for making a way for independent voices to be heard. I appreciate it. And last silver lining. Our family bought land and started prepping several years ago due to warnings from Glenn Beck. Recently, we had gotten a bit lazy about it as things had come together nicely. I discovered your channel maybe 6 months ago and turned my clan onto it. Now a patron and back in high gear. Thanks, brother. We have over 6 months of food stored in our whole can, plus 2 sides of beef in our freezers, or canned, along with our yearly harvest of venison. Chickens and eggs galore. With generators, both gas and solar, and gravity-fed spring water to the dwellings, we can probably do okay. Praise the Father. The greatest silver lining of them all is we are all Christ followers, and no matter what happens here, we will spend eternity together with Yeshua and a lot of other cool people like you. God bless and keep you and yours. Praise Yah. Praise Yah, people. The creator of all things, the heavens and the earth, the Alpha and the Omega. Malachi 3:6. I change not. Let's talk to him. Good morning, Father Yah. Father, thank you for another opportunity to seek your face. Father, I just pray humbly that your will would be done and that you would give us the strength and the understanding to accept it, and not simply to accept it, but to be on your team, to be your hands and feet, to shove our own thoughts and feelings and ideas out of the way, and to be led by you. Father, thank you for striving with us. Thank you for striving with me. Father, I don't even understand how you use me, but I'm humbled by it, and I thank you for it. And I thank you for everybody within the sound of my voice. Father, thank you for my wife. Thank you for my children. Thank you for my camp. Thank you for my team. Father, thank you for my tribe, for our church. And Father, thank you for the Bear Nation. Father, lead us. Put us where you need us and tell us what to do, and we will do it. Speak to us in ways that we can understand, and we will listen. Put us where you need us. Even if it's on our knees, face in the dirt, beseeching you in all humility. Father, thank you. Father, if there's anything within the sound of my voice that's not of you, we all come together in agreement and rebuke it in the name of Yeshua HaMashiach and command it to flee. Father Yah, fill us up with your Ruach HaKodesh, your Holy Spirit, for wisdom and discernment, for even the very elect will be deceived. Father, for strength and power and authority in your name, because sometimes you just need people to help you hold your hands up so that the battle will quit turning toward the enemy. Father, for healing, internal and external, because you are the author of all things and the creator of us and our fleshly bodies and our souls from the dawn of time. Father, restore us. And Father, for peace, peace that surpasses all understanding. Father Yah, thank you for giving us a life and teaching us how to live it through Yeshua Messiah, and for creating a way for broken people to come home again. If you need to come home, just say this. Say this with all your soul. Father Yah, I'm broken. I have sinned, and I beg you to forgive me. I acknowledge that Yeshua is Messiah, that Jesus is the Christ. And I ask him to lead my life. And I commend my life into your hands to use as you see fit, as I beg you for the covering of his atoning blood. Father, forgive me. Father, teach me how to walk in your ways and how to be at one with you. Father, thank you for relentlessly loving me, even as I have turned my back on you. And so, Father, I repent. Teshuvah, I turn to you. And I beg your forgiveness. And am humbled to receive your covering and your love. Father Yah, use me to be your hands and feet. Teach me to walk in your ways and make me new this day. And I pray all these things in the mighty name of Yeshua HaMashiach. Amen. Bless y'all. May you experience the Father's peace, his shalom, this day. Go be the light bearer nation. And remember who's in charge. Shalom.